pre-cut them to length. We're going to straighten them out with a flat edge here. And before we assemble them, we're going to stain them. So I cut them all at the same time to the same length. We're at 73 inches. Maximum length would be 76 inches. That extra 3 inches on the bottom is because of the uneven floor. So should look real good. Now what we're going to do is take our other board and line it up at the top. Alright, so I dry fitted them together. As you can see, I did put in a couple screws just to hold it in place while I fit our angles. I'll be taking those screws out and then sanding these boards down so that they are nice. But as you can see, you can get the finished product here. Took a little bit of doing with these angles because they're not 45. It really does help if you just lay it out, line it up, make your marks, and if you're going to make an err on the side of long, not short, so that way you can always trim it back down. So they're dry fitted, they look nice. This board was a little interesting. I don't know how well you can see it there in the video, but we had quite a few knots in it, and they end up becoming really loose, so I just went ahead and pounded them out so that there are holes, and I think they look really nice, add a lot of character to the door. So long, smooth strokes. As you can see, she's getting all the corners and trying to, as much as possible, stick with the wood grain, getting this final coat on nice and thin. We don't want any globs, so long. She's getting the nice, long, smooth strokes going, which is going to minimize brush streaking. And should smooth things out for us. I really do like how this door came together, and we are taking the polyurethane right over the top of those screws, so it will clear everything out. And as she comes across the glob, she's just smoothing it out. One thing I will say is in the corners is a much more difficult area to work with, simply because of how tight of a space it is. But given patience and time, you can also get the skill to make a beautiful door like this one. Now the top half of the door, we do not have our Z cross member, as you can see. which is going to make it a lot easier to apply the poly. This is a slide door, not a swing door. If it was a swing door, we would definitely have the double Z to keep the door square, because swing doors take a lot more force, a lot more effort and abuse than slide doors. So as you can see, she's getting that cross member there. Then she's coming out and doing that, and then long, smooth strokes, which is really nice. By the way, for those watching this video, the individual who is applying this coat is an 8th grader. So you're never too young to learn how to work with wood. I've been working with wood since I was a kid. My dad taught me most of the woodworking skills I have. And the older I get, the more I appreciate his woodsmithing expertise. So here we have one of the 2 slide doors. We will also be having a swing door similar to this. And I just wanted to go over it. I'm going to go in a little more detail with the construction of the other swing door and how we built it. But we have 1x6s for uprights, and then 1x4s for our cross members. This is with 4 coats of polyurethane, and we also stained it before that with a light cherry stain. As you can see, we have our square-tipped screws. We did keep them visible because of aesthetic reasons. And there is no glue on this door. We did not glue it. If we would have glued it, I would have preferred using a biscuit joint. And I didn't want to do that. So we did leave some gapping so that the wood can expand and contract with different moisture variances throughout the year. We just finished our sanding, a light sand between coats. And now we're going to apply our final 5th coat of polyurethane. It's going to be a light coat. So when you're applying polyurethane, be mindful that it is hazardous to human consumption. Wear gloves and keep your work area ventilated well. The other aspect of this door, because it's our 5th and final coat, we are going to go with a very light coat on the door. There's a couple heavier spots on this door, and we just want to even those out a little bit with a very light coat. So this is the door. So the doors are finally up, all 3 of them. We're still waiting on one piece of hardware for the swing door. It's the latch. It's a pass-through latch, going with a simple wrought iron type latch. We haven't picked it up yet. So we're going to close out this video covering our barn doors and basement doors. We built 3 of them using the same methods. 2 of them are sliders, and 1 of them is a swing. So behind me is one. It is stained with a cherry stain. We've used high quality polyurethane for its protective coating. Highly recommend that. Track is originally designed for closet doors that cross each other. There's 2 tracks for 2 doors. We're only using 1 door, mainly because it was structurally sound and already there. You can see we have our levelers with our hangers. Now, with this door, on this side is the bedroom side. The other side, as you can see through the doorway, is the hallway. We have our doorstop over here, top one and a bottom one. We do have felt strips there, so if it does happen to get hit hard on opening and closing, it's going to soften that blow. Same thing over here. We have a doorstop at the bottom and one at the top. So when the door is shut, it doesn't go anywhere. Now I'll show the other 2 here. that's what it looks like from the hallway side shut. We are going to be putting some molding up there to hide that plumbing. And then main key is on the bottom. We don't want it scraping on the floor, so there is a gap there. Now, this is our other door. This is the swing door. We are going to be putting a molding piece at the top to minimize that gap. And then again, don't want it to swing and scrape the floor. Swings open. And here is, with it shut. Now the key to this door was getting those 3 hinges. We had to make sure the door was plumb and level, otherwise it wouldn't swing properly. We also put felt on our doorstop here, and it can come all the way open. We have a doorstop up here. It's well above head height at the top of the door instead of down at the bottom. That's because this is wood, so we could screw it in easily. At the bottom would be with the concrete, and it was just easier to put it at the top. That way, when somebody's coming in, it stops the door from opening all the way and damaging the door or the wall. It does shut all the way, but as you can see, we do need that latch, and I just haven't picked one up yet to install that latch. Otherwise, it works well. I am happy with the Craig screws. That's what's holding this door together. And we have a double Z design. That is to ensure that the door stays square from repeated use. If we only went with the cross members, the door would get warped and wouldn't stay square. Over here is the other door, because this bedroom also has access to the rest of our basement. We needed something to handle that doorway, and we used the same type of hardware that we used for the other bedroom, but we have a walnut stain on the door. Again, these doors do have multiple coats of polyurethane, and our door stops for this door are at the top. You can see it right up there. And then we also have it on the other side at the top. Again, that is because of the concrete. I didn't want to put the door stops into the concrete. This door is the biggest of the 3, and it also opens the farthest. With this doorway being so uneven, I didn't want to cut into this concrete and have to trim it down and go through all of that work putting in an exterior door. Instead, we're going to do the slide door, and then I have an insulated blanket that's going to be hanging on this side to give us an air barrier, insulation barrier. This is heated space that we're in now because it's a bedroom, and that space is going to be unheated. So most of the time it's going to be unheated. As a result, we're going to need that curtain to keep heat in here and not out there. But I don't have it up yet because it's summer. We don't need it up. Summer is more of a moisture problem. That's why we have a dehumidifier going. This is a basement space, so if you're going to turn your basement into usable living space, make sure you handle the humidity. Being subterranean, you're going to have an increase of humidity, condensation, and dehumidifiers work well for that. Here we do have our anchor supports. These supports are anchored into our mud sill. This beam right here is a mud sill from the original house. That was an addition put on quite a long time ago. But we have these supports. They're anchored in with large screws. I think they're 3.5-inch screws going in there, and then also into our logs above our head that work as floor joists for the main floor. So I definitely enjoy how they slide easily. I wasn't sure how these slides were going to work with such a heavy door. They're designed for closet doors, which are hollow and usually very light. But because they're designed for more than one door on them to pass by each other, I thought they would work for this size door. And they are, which is great. One thing I am going to point out here before going to the other side to show you the other side of the door is how we leveled out our hanger. The hanger track needs to be level, as perfectly level as you can get it. If it's not level, your door's not going to slide properly. It's going to want to go to that low side or in the middle. And since we had to use two different pieces of lumber here, show you right there, we had to put them, if you see that in the video, as a result, they weren't perfectly level going across. How we accommodated that is, zoom in there, washers. There's several washers. Every screw hole, see, an anchor point, we used washers to level out each one individually, and then used a long level to ensure that the entire thing was level. It works really well. It's just very time consuming. So on this side, which is unfinished space, you can see how that track works. Again, same construction as before, and it works quite well. And on this track, we're using the one closest to the wall because we had room. In the other room, we used the track farther away from the wall because that's how the door hung. These walls are not plumb. They jut out, and as you can see. So overall, very happy with the door, with all three doors. And hope you enjoyed this video. It is longer than a lot of the other videos I've done, simply because of how much content was there with these doors. We ended up building 3 of them using the same method, and by the third one, I would consider myself to be pretty prolific at building these things. The first one didn't go together as easily as the third one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment, subscribe, give a thumbs up, share it with anyone you like. I'm Timothy Holt with Holt Growers, and get out, grow something today.